guys eat is not good either. Not good either.
Hey, Brad, can you look and see if we're live on? What's up, guys? How are you guys doing? We are live.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Why are you
All right,
screaming?
all right.
Brad, I'm really excited about your travels. During COVID, it looks like you're in a very majestic area of Toledo.
Well, we wanted to get some games in, and I wanted to go to the most authentic 40K place for games.
Yeah.
Hive City.
I'm
That's
literally
majestic.
raising my desk as we're talking. I'm very excited right now.
I do like that Robert's apparently going to actually make dinner on stream, like it's a cooking show now. He's making
Chocolate.
Robert just looks at you and goes, "You're going to use 1 cup of sugar. You're going to add a pinch of salt, and we're going to mix this into our flour base right now.
Water.
We don't use eggs here. We're not a fan of eggs with our flour. We'd like to use warm water." I have no idea.
I don't know
Robert.
if they actually have eggs.
Tons of echoes. Let's fix echoes.
From Brad.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared actually having Robert cook. I'm expecting a flame, some bleeding, and something, and maybe a knife in the ceiling. I don't know. It's my prediction.
Could be scary. Could be very scary.
Could be good.
I do like your cozy little kitchen, though. It's very nice.
Yeah, it's full of granite bases as well.
Good old Grey Knights. I thought you were going to Custodes.
Yeah, but I want to finish that army that I started.
Oh, okay.
I tried them though; they're not very good.
You tried Custodes or Grey Knights?
No, the Grey Knights.
Oh,
No.
the Grey Knights. Well, Grey Knights have an entire secondary that says, "Give 15 points to anyone playing Grey Knights."
Yeah, pretty much. So we have a new guest. We have a new guest
How
on the
is
cast
echo
today.
now?
I don't know. I have no clue. Nick, welcome to the podcast, good friend. It's good to see you. I see you're also in a different area. It looks more like a dystopian, like post-apocalyptic / disaster world.
No, that's just the northeast of America.
I think the Northwest
So
looks
many
more
dead
like that
bodies,
than the
so little
Northeast.
time.
Northeast is
it's a
pretty
moving
far.
target, but yeah, it's just northeast.
Got it. Okay. So tell us, Nick, in your opinion, so far, what you've seen in ninth. What's the biggest change? The biggest change you've seen so far?
I mean, obviously the missions, I would say, and besides terrain, I think the missions are going to change how everyone is obviously playing, which is a no duh. But I think the big things that we need to probably figure out is going first is probably really strong. The secondary,
We're gonna argue.
That's okay. Let him talk. Let him talk.
yeah, we can argue about that. You can get in your corner. It's not your podium time. I think the secondary missions we have to really talk about, and how does that work? There seems to be a lot of imbalance, I would say, with them. I kind of worry about how the mission designs are, where you can just throw a bunch of troops or things in the middle of the table and probably hold the board in the game and win, right? Which you could probably never even fire a gun. So I think there needs to be work on the secondaries. I think those are the two big things, and I think we need to get trained, which I think Brad's going to go into. kind of figured out and standardized, because I don't think a lot of people are set up for the terrain that we have now, where we probably need a lot more. And I think that's going to be a big problem for the game, probably for the next 6 or 9 months, because we just don't have enough.
Well, I mean, there's no large events between now and then for the most part. So I think the bigger tournaments could definitely get more terrain, and the tournaments that will exist in between now and then, they'll be small enough where they can probably, if a tournament before was running like 80 pieces of terrain, they could, 80 person tournament, they could probably make sure that they have enough terrain for like a 16, 20 person tournament now during COVID. But yeah, I do.
The question though, do they realize that? And I don't know if they realize that. So by the time we get out of COVID and we start doing tournaments, I think it's going to take them 6 to 9 months probably to figure it out, or maybe they go faster.
I think we have a pretty active community. I mean, I don't particularly listen to too many other casts, but I think there's a ton of people making podcasts now about every topic in the world, and 40K is definitely one of them. So I think we're sharing a lot of information on that, and I think it's interesting. I think Brad's going to add onto this right now, but you mentioned going first is really strong, but then you also mentioned the need for the terrain in the game, and I feel like the moment you have the necessary terrain to really play the edition the right way, I think you're going to find out that going second is stronger.
Yeah, but, going back to how we had for deployments, like I deploy, I go first, and if you deploy second, you're going to go second. I think that was a good system that we had, and I don't know why we decided.
It was a horrible system. You're so wrong.
Oh, okay.
This time you're like insanity wrong.
Fucking awful.
Fucking disgustingly awful. When you know you're gonna go first. When you know you're gonna go first, there's zero strategy.
Army and know what's going on.
No. That's stupid. Why? Why? That makes it less of a game.
Tactics?
Yeah, that makes it less of a game.
Strategy, bro.
You guys shouldn't talk about tactics, so let's just put that aside. But
I don't even know what that means.
You Go I Go has way more strategy than derping the hell out
there's
of your
deployment,
army.
There's counter deployment.
Go first. Yes.
Guess what you do when you know you're going to go first? Guess what you do? You just put everything on the line like a fucking Nimrod, and you run it all up to midboard behind objectives, behind cover. Now you don't know you're going first. You can't put it on the line. And if you do put it on the line, you don't go first, I'm going to bite you. So,
okay,
I mean,
now it's whoever's going to have as many units as possible, and then they're going to have
superior deployment. Not at all. You just sent me a list right now that you think is good. I'll table that list. I'll table a list in 2 turns. You have this assumption that there's armies that are going to just stand on the table and they're not going to. The firepower of the game has not changed, and points went up. So some of those really efficient units that haven't gone up in points that still have tremendous firepower are going to put out a significant amount of damage. And now that you don't know who's going first, I think that's great. I don't agree with you at all.
Let's take an example for that list. I think you will never fire a gun in that list, and you will win the game.
I disagree completely. I think I'll table it.
Maybe we should talk about that list and just give everyone an idea of what we're talking about.
Yeah, you can give us the list.
Yeah, you can go ahead. You can.
Super exciting.
Well, I think that's why Robert's on the cast right there, dude. Reality. So we're gonna go over the list in a second. I think I want to go back and get Brad's opinion about going first or second. And then I want to also weigh in on your opinion, Robert, on going first or second, and because I know your opinion of that, but also do you agree with knowing who's going first or second during deployment? So Brad, go ahead. You start off first.
I just want to tell Nick first off he's wrong, and then I'll just give my opinion on everything else. First off, going second, as long as you have a place to hide, which you should in proper terrain, you have a smaller board, you're basically truncating in the terrain with it, is super, super valuable because I get to see where you're going. So I always get to make the counter move to take you off that objective and or just contest the objective to deny you points the entire game. And I get last say in scoring. So I just think it's such a big deal on that, that going second, there's some armies that you are going to want to go first against, and there's some boards you're going to want to go first, but I think that going second is really more valuable in most games.
So I would agree with that if the 6th turn was there. The problem I have going first is, and how I've seen the games with Ben and I playing, right, is what happens is when someone moves on the objective, and you only have so many turns to go back and forth. Basically what happens is you can't get on the objectives till second or third turn. You miss a turn to score. And so really you only have maybe 1 turn, maybe 2 at the best. Like you really need the 6th turn if we're going to go to if we're gonna do the progressives on top of turn 2, right? Like, I think there needs to be an odd, basically, turn out, because right now you have 4 and 4, so it's basically 2 people both can get 40, and it doesn't change much, right? So I feel like you need the 6th turn if you want secondary going second to be better.
I still think it's better, but I agree with you just on the 6-turn period, because I think that you should be rewarded for starting to dominate the game towards the end.
Yeah.
I feel like when the first turn player comes out and takes kind of objectives in mid board, if they take objectives in mid board, and you going second, if you've done the right deployment strategy and you've deployed defensively and you have the terrain to deploy defensively and you've designed an army that can take advantage of the way the mission is played. So you know there's objectives in the middle, there's objectives on his side and my side, and if I don't go first, there's a chance he may come at that objective. If you already know that and you've designed your army list to strike those objectives from a reserved, conservative position from deployment, the advantage is on your end then. Because you're now playing a game where you're going to cause maximum casualties on the bottom of your turn, whereas on the top of his turn, he was pretty much only able to get kind of into position, whereas you can counter that pretty easy.
Yeah, and you can keep setting it up so you're denying him points every single time.
Yep.
Well, I would agree with you, but I think the meta is going to change where people are going to have really these durable units that are going to be super defensive. And so, like, your concept of striking, I think, is probably not right the way to think about it, I guess, is the only thing I can say about it, because you have to get board control on the objective. You can't sit back and shoot them off the objective. And I think how people are going to build armies.
We're not. You should have some.
Actually moving up to the middle and then taking it from them from there.
Yeah, you could have a dedicated unit that can go up, whether it be OPSEC or not, depending on your need, right? You can have an OPSEC strategy, and you can have a strategy for a non-OPSEC unit, like a 5-unit man of Raptors. Fred Foreman was talking about this earlier with us. And you could also have something else, like you can have an OPSEC unit that could potentially use a special ability of some kind to get further up the board, or just has the movement to get up further up the board.
Yeah, just,
but
like,
you have another unit. But you have another unit that can kill.
Going back into where my second concern is I think where lists are going to go, it's basically just going to be a giant scrum in the middle, right?
John, which sounds awesome compared
to
just sitting back and shooting.
Yeah, it sounds great. Sounds really good. I don't see where first turn matters then.
I see basically 2 giant armies of like 90 plague bearers and say, like, I don't know, 100 gaunts just thrashing in the middle, and that's what it is. I'm just like, okay, there's not really much more tactics to that. That's where I see these secondaries and missions go of 9th edition, and that worries me.
Pamps goes, Nick looks more excited on work meetings.
Nick does have like the face. Nick has the face of like when I ordered all that seafood in front of him in Sweden. Right now, when me and Brad took the opposite stance, he was just like, "Oh no."
Well, that was also life and death. I might have died that day.
Oh man, that's funny. No, I don't know. I've gotten a few games in now, and I was 100% would agree with you, Nick. I think going first was super OP in the beginning, and now that I'm starting to like really trying to design the army to play the mission like long term, I even have units that I know are going in reserves, period, like regardless of who I'm playing. Like, this unit's in reserves, this is what it's for. It's getting me the secondary, or it's going to really impact this side of the board, because now even reserves walking on the board, depending on the army you're playing, but most reserves can really impact the game. Like when it was a 72-inch board and your unit came on from the side, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was kind of out of place. The 12 inches makes a huge deal, I think, so far from what I've seen.
So Ben and I were hoping the same thing, and we were thinking the same way, and we actually found. Okay, remember, I'm playing Ben as my sparring opponent, right? So it's not like
So you're getting smashed like left and right, just getting absolutely destroyed.
Right? But Ben and I are finding that even reserves, we're just having to come back in our own deployment zones. Like, deep strikers just seem to have no value. Outflankers we're pushing out, and so they're having no value. So I'm having a hard time seeing that, Alan, and maybe the game will change, right? But
deep strikers, I would agree with you. Deep strikers, I do agree. Turns 2 and 3, they're hard.
Yeah, are you pushing hard on the edges though? Because I find myself pushing on the flanks to give myself move for my, because the objective setups
or something.
Basically make it so that there's almost always 2 objectives. On the top and the bottom of the long board edges. So I end up pushing there anyways. So that gives me more range to come in.
I mean, I'm playing Ben with orcs, right? Or orcs MSUs, and he's got little Def Copters all around the other side, or boys or grots, right?
Yeah.
like there's just no room on the board to come back to it. So if we're playing either Hammer or Anvil or the Vanguard Strike, he's covered the whole board and you can't get to it. So, I mean, that's just been my experience. And you can try to fight and go through, but by the time you kill all the MSU units and get through, it's turn 2, turn 3, and you've already lost and scoring the.
So you need some checker OBSEC for that stuff. So what I've been finding that's really good is some fodder, some chaff, some things that you can reliably put on your objectives on the back end that your opponent doesn't want to kill, but they have to if they want to get you off the objective, and they're hard to kill. So there's a lot of units in the game that I think people have never looked at, and they're really, really good at some of that stuff. We were just talking about earlier today the opposite of obliterators. What are those guys called again, Brad?
Mutilators.
Yeah, mutilators. For the points and what they do, a mutilator unit on the back objective on your board is worth every point, in my opinion, for that unit. You could put them there and be safe. They're going to hold it as long as an OBSEC unit doesn't get anywhere near there. And you can have some kind of, checkers, OBSEC. Obviously you're going to put a unit out. You're going to deny an objective with an OBSEC unit. If you play it right, they're going to kill that unit, right? But you've at least denied it, right? And I think you have to have that strategy throughout the course of the game so that you make sure the deficit that you're in, if you're in a deficit, doesn't get too big. So that late game, if you played it correctly, you still have the time to come back. Otherwise, if you're not doing that, if you're not sacrificing those units or playing that type of game, you're gonna fall. You're 100% correct. You're gonna be up on the flanks, but you're gonna fall into a hole that you can't come back from.
Yeah, I think all the games decided by turn 3 is really what it comes down to, right? Because if you can play and fight by turn 3, you have the game, and
pushing up like so big though.
Can't make back up after turn 3.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it as much anymore, Nick, because I mean I get in the first games I was playing, I was seeing that, but now what I'm seeing is this like real struggle to get that full commitment now. Like in the beginning I was fully committing, and then I was either winning or losing by turn 3, and then it was like, oh man, now I'm done. It's over. The game's finished on turn 4 for the most part. And the game's only 5 turns now anyways, so it's not that big of a deal. But I think now with playing a little bit more reserved, and I think that's how you're playing, Brad, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, but playing that reserve strategy where, I can go for both objectives this turn, but I'm only going to go to stop this one, and I'm going to leave this unit here and use this one to stop it next turn, instead of making it go the left way to get another one or something like that.
And I sacrifice units so much, but I also think you need to have, in those units that you're talking about, I think that volume's such a big thing. You need to have somebody that's either swinging a lot of attacks, shooting a lot of shots, and hopefully both. So if you have flamers, whatever, you know what I mean? Somebody that's basically doing both and has the option of just kicking the crap out of somebody off of an objective is just a big deal. Yeah. Because I'm just constantly trading.
So then, Alan, maybe let's talk about that list going back to Roberts. And like, this is where my concern comes back to where the game's going. And think about what I did in 9th or 8th edition, breaking it with some of the horde mentality. I think of like a list that has like the Bioparper, the Boxspringer, 6x5 Nurglings, right? So that's 30 Nurglings and 5-man squads.
Yeah.
And then another 25 Nurglings and another battalion with another Boxspringer and Herald. And then you take Negrosius, Arch Contaminator, Chaos Lord, 30 Cultists, and then 15 Spawn with Feel No Pain, right?
Yep.
That's immediately, you start the Nurglings, you have board control. It's 900 bolter shots basically to go through Nurglings with rerolls and damages, and you just control the whole board. And the problem I have with that list, like that's where I go say, I don't even think I have to fire one gun, that nobody can go chew through that while you're holding the objectives, getting engagement, while should we stand and fight, and just scoring. And like, that is a big concern for me.
I've got a lot of stuff that, I mean, I get what you're saying, but also I think that the Death Guard right now, or just Nurgle in particular, is probably the best at that. They may be a little problematic, but anything else, I'm taking up like a guys with a zillion attacks and a zillion shots that have range to contest things. So, and also things like Nurglings, I mean, they're not getting to feel no pain if you're giving them a multi-damage weapon. You know what I mean? So there's lots of stuff you could send up there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you that's definitely a solid army in terms of positioning. It reminds me of Nick Brown's approach with Poxwalkers back in the day, where he would engage something with a Poxwalker army back when it was broken, and he would just create 1 million Poxwalkers and just sit on all the objectives and just make one unit of Poxwalkers insanely big, and you don't have enough guns to kill it. And that definitely applied for that edition because he could just lock himself in combat. With this edition, you can't lock yourself in combat, and I think there's going to be a lot of I've written a number of lists that I think would definitely give that list a run for its money. So I like how you say that you don't have to shoot a single gun or do anything, and you're just going to sit and exist. But I honestly think the Taurox army is going to be extremely popular. I think a 6 Taurox Scions army with Custodes backing it up in a separate detachment is going to be very strong. It will not rely on too many CP, and it will beat you in shooting. It will beat you in close combat. And I highly, highly doubt that you will hold mid-board for very long against that list. It's just too many shots with too much firepower, especially with Psychic Awakening. 6 Tauroxes is going to light you up. And they're only 115 points right now. I think 118 with a Stormbolter.
The Taurox primes are strong, especially with the AP.
They're gross, man. They're gross. They're gross. Hitting on threes, movement doesn't impact them at all, and then you can ally Custodes in with them, and the Scions detachment doesn't need any of the CP. So you still have a ton of CP with Custodes now. You have an aggressive assault component. If you don't want to go Custodes, you can actually ally in a whole Leman Russ Spearhead. They all have OBSEC. So you have a bunch of Leman Russes now with OBSEC in that list. That's even more firepower. You could even probably fit a 4 Scion Taurox army with a Scion battalion plus 3 Leman Russes with a tank commander and a spearhead and a Custodes detachment, all in 2,000 points probably. Now, I don't know how great that one is. I'd have to write that down on paper, but it's probably possible given the low amount of points it is for not only the Leman Russes didn't go up by that much. I know the commander went up very small, and the regular ones went up by like 25 points, but the Tauroxes didn't go up really at all. So you can get a sick amount of firepower very easy in that army right there. That's just one example, and I've written a couple more lists that I think are equally as output.
You should play it right, but the way I think about that list, I think it comes back down to the secondaries, and I think this is where I have back issues with the secondaries and just imbalance with the secondaries because on top of the progressives being so strong, the secondaries that are so strong are also the movement ones and. The domination, basically where you hold more objectives, you engage in all fronts, and it's basically anything that also supports the board control. So you double down into it, and so it just kind of creates that problem where I think in that list that might not necessarily be the case. We'd have to play for it, but that's my other concern in the design perspective.
Well, I couldn't play. I wouldn't be able to play you with it though, because if I play you, then you know what my dice would do, and then you would say the game's not legal. And then you would say it doesn't count and all this other stuff. So we'd have to give the list to Pamprine, and then he could play it, and then I'll play against him or something like that. So it's fair, Otherwise, it would be sad.
No, I think that's fine, and that's a valid argument, and that's true. But the thing that I don't understand is also we had the Age of Sigmar General's Handbook, which had a lot of good missions that a lot of people are probably thinking I'm crazy and high.
Yeah.
But
no, they're really good.
Could have left a lot of those for 40K that probably would work, and I guess
some of those are really fun.
Missions. Yeah, and
Age of Sigmar converted me over because of the missions. That was the main reason why I converted over, and Bill Sousa is one of the coolest dudes I know, and those are the 2 biggest reasons why I went over to Age of Sigmar. You're right. I think a lot of those missions could be applicable for 40K.
And then another thing is and I'm sure there was some influence there, like burning the objectives. I think that probably came from there too. I don't know for sure, but I guess the other thing is why didn't we have any in-game objectives or anything else that could mix it up, right? It's always progressive, which I think skews Army's list to another design. It would be nicer that we could have some type of. There should be a bigger delta or change within the missions that would help.
No, I do agree with that. I do think that, me and Brad have talked about this a million times. I don't know why GW is trying to recreate the wheel. I've never known why ITC is trying to recreate the wheel. They've been doing it for the last 2 years or whatever, however long we've had this ITC standardized mission set. I think ETC has had it right since the dawn of time. I think the approach of Endgame, Progressive, and Maelstrom all together in one mission format is 1,000% better, more streamlined, more adaptable, and I think just in general, a better approach. I mean, all 4 of us are very familiar with the format, so I'm preaching to the choir here, but I don't see why anyone is trying to redesign mission format when that committee, that group has been doing it right for years. I don't get it. So I just given up on the conversation, basically. I've just given up on that conversation because it's just so clearly a better format in every way.
Well, it becomes the reason I like that format for those that don't really know what's going on is it basically makes you engage, it makes you play for the end, and it makes you also have to make decisions about sacrificing units. Right now, I don't care about sacrificing my units at all. I know I'm going to. There's no downside. But when there's kill points, a WTC mission has kill points. It has 3 tertiaries, say, and everything. It has either a progressive or an end game, and then it has maelstroms or adjacent engagement. So you have something at all times that you have to accomplish.
And I'm not gonna name any names, but I was told 2 reasons from the ITC group, of one of the head honchos of the ITC group, on why they refused ETC missions or did not think ETC missions were a good fit for ITC, and the whole reason for why they basically reached out to the community to create their own circuit of rules and standardized format. And those 2 reasons are, number one, the ETC, I'm going to always call it ETC. I'm never calling it WTC ever for the rest of my life. So the ETC rules are essentially a spectrum. So at the end of the ETC game, if you get beaten bad enough, you walk away with a 0, period. Like it's a 20-0 scale, right? So you feel bad, you got a 0, you got your ass stomped, right? So number one, for a tournament perspective, the ITC did not want people to walk away from games with 0s. They didn't want a scale system. They wanted people to walk away with, I got 24 points. I feel good about myself. It was a 42-24 game, but I feel great. No, you got stomped. You got absolutely destroyed. So that was number one reason. The second reason I was told is that the number of win criteria was just too much. They wanted to simplify it, simplify the amount of housekeeping, simplify the amount of things written down, simplify all of the interactions between the 2 players, because at the ETC, we get 4 hours to play a single game. And we don't get that for regular tournaments for ITC. So I 100%
but in the end, you're
see that
literally
part.
Just adding. It's simple addition and subtraction.
I mean, I would argue at the end, Brad, the people who don't finish games are always going to not finish games, and the people who do will always finish them. So I don't think that's a really valid rationale. But I get it. I get what they're trying to say. They're trying to simplify it, streamline it, make it so there's not so many so much of a complexity with it, and just removing it. As Robert says, Americans are bad at math. So
well, we can't do math, but I agree with that. I guess though the big thing that I would have is I go back to Sigmar, right? Like having a diversity set in the GT missions would be a better idea, because Sigmar has that balance of, all right, you only can score objectives if you only have 3 characters into it, right? Like only battle line scores or only monster scores.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
In game, right? So you balance the meta between these missions. If all the missions are the same, then you don't really have balance, because it just streamlines the meta. So
agreed, 100% agreed.
If you want to balance it out, all you got to do is now take Space Wolves, because apparently the entire army's OBSEC now. Remember?
The whole army's OBSEC in Saga.
I don't know what to say about that. How many points are Fenrir's in Wolves? I'm just gonna buy 100 of them.
No, beasts are not OBSEC according to the message.
Beasts are not. Yeah, beasts are not OBSEC. That's the only thing. But yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, Nick. I think some of the points you're making are actually really, really good. I love Age of Sigmar's fact that the mission criteria is dependent on the HQ slot or the fast attack slot of the unit. So the missions where you have to literally keep a hero within 3 of an objective to score. I love that mission. That's just awesome. It really you have to build an army around it.
And I agree. And all the GT players, we all know and talk to each other, right? Like Brad and I are on the same chat with another 10 or 15 of them. We're all talking about missions or army lists. And we're like, well, we got to see what the missions are. We got to see what terrains are, the standard trainouts. Those are the 2 big things that dictate what armies are.
Yep.
Points, actually, I would argue not so much. We just find what works in the efficiency point. But missions and terrain were the 2 biggest things.
Yep.
And honestly, I feel like the GT mission packet was a big miss. I was actually really disappointed with it.
That's a good segue, actually.
I would
Go ahead, Brad.
I would disagree slightly on that, because of the fact that I liked a lot of things they did. I just think they need more. The problem is we're also jumping into what's the beginner, and they've already said they're going to put out a lot more stuff. So I feel I really like the way they did examples. I like the format. I thought they added a lot and took a lot of questions away in the way they handled things, and they gave examples of how things can be ruled and stuff like that. I like that a lot. I actually just think they need more secondaries and more missions.
And that could be fair, and that might be the plan, right? And I'm looking at the Space Marine leaks that they had that GW flashed up, where they showed hey, they have Codex secondaries. That might be coming through, and that could help answer that. And Brad, you'd probably have a better idea than we would. But right,
that's either a very cryptic answer from Brad because he already knows something and he's trying to assure us, or that's just Brad going, the playtesters are all really sorry that there was a leak somewhere. Please don't get rid of us. And GW's awesome. GW's awesome. GW's awesome. GW's awesome. GW's awesome. So it's one of those two. I don't know which one.
I mean, both, but
Yeah, I mean, like the information we have right now, it just seems very limited, right? So that's where I kind of go back to my point. Like I could change if I see more.
Hey, Robert. Robert, can I see this food?
Books, and they need to put out more of the things that are coming out.
Flash the food on camera. Let me see some of this food. What are you making over there? Robert's getting me hungry, bro.
Hey, Brad, I just want to have a
fucking Corey. Literally, we argued back and forth on that because I go, yeah, man, like raise happens at the end when you move, raise the banners, and Corey's yelling back, no, man, raise happens at the beginning of the command phase, and I'm like, no, what? No, it does not. And then he goes, no, we're playing the Scorched Earth mission. I'm like, screw you, it's not raise, it's blow up objective. That's what it's called.
Raise the objective.
You raise.
Hey, Brad, I just want to call out our teammate Kurt Claus, right? And his infinite wisdom has just said secondaries are dog shit. Love you, Rose. Fuck you, Chester.
As you see,
so therefore,
I love that.
Yeah, I do agree with you, Gary. I think the ITC secondaries are not as good as the rulebook secondaries. I think the secondaries that are coming out in the new rules are not as bad. Are more dynamic, at least. They're harder to accomplish.
Like I will agree. This is not about a GWGT format versus ITC. I will be the first one to say, scrap ITC. Let's go and move on to a better world. Especially because I didn't like the primaries for ITC. Kill one, hold one.
Yeah.
That's not the right answer. I don't think either. I think of looking at the secondaries and the norm of what they are against each other from an eternal balance standpoint. I wish we would do a better job there, right? Like Slay the Warlord.
Yeah, that's we just got it. In the comments, it was like that. It's like it is weird how some don't go for points. I mean, I 100% agree.
But sometimes the ones.
Bitch.
No, I actually like that, Brad. It's interesting to see if you're playing against an opponent and you're like, man, I'm gonna have a really hard time getting 15 on this objective, but this one that I can only get something else on, less than 15, will be easy. I think that's actually a really ingenious thing. I really think that's undervalued.
Yeah, but are they easy? I mean, Kill the Warlord is not.
Is anybody gonna take Slay the Warlord? Because one, if you take it, I'm not even gonna deploy my Warlord because you're not gonna be able to kill him on one.
Yeah, but against a certain opponent, you don't know, right? Some of these objectives may be very difficult for you, and one of them may be like, oh, his Warlord is like the pin of his army. It's Abaddon or something like that. Like he has to deploy that Warlord. So I'm gonna make him put on the board and get the points.
If you got Warlord and you just got X amount of points, that was good. But they give 12 for killing him on a turn one, and then 6 or 8 are killing him any other time.
So my point is this. This is all the point I'm trying to make. In ITC, you always look for how can I get the max. I think in this new edition, you have to look for what's the easiest route to getting the most points in the most efficient way. Because I may not be able to get the max. The max may be too hard. And I shouldn't go for something that's going to most likely get me a larger deficit than if I just went for something easier that I couldn't max. I think that's the point I'm trying to make. And I think that's a valid point.
I'll give you that. I tried to.
Yeah, I fundamentally agree with you, Alan, right? Like, I get the concept. I go back to the execution and implementation of the secondaries, right? Like, mental interrogation, okay, I don't think I'm ever going to get 6 points off that, right? And, I'm never going to take that regardless. That one either needs to get scrapped or readjusted.
Or
I think
teleport Homer.
Yeah, teleport Homer, the same one. I don't even think you're going to get 4 points off that, right?
And if you do, you literally committed a unit that can somehow get into your opponent's deployment zone and then has to sit. You know what I mean? So it just feels like for instance, the ones I really like a lot and I take all the time, whatever the hell recon is, take the board area, something other, whatever recon is now. I take that almost every time. And I love Raise the Flags. I think it's you're already trying to take the board. So why wouldn't I take one that I'm already taking?
I don't disagree. I don't disagree that there's clear favorites and clear, why would I ever take that? I don't disagree with that at all. But I think there's a mid ground. And I think that mid ground of them is going to be dependent on the opponent you're playing. And just immediately discarding one like we did in the past, right? Like we would be like, how many characters do you have? I have 5. Oh, it's going to be tough for me to get character killer because I'll have to kill basically all of your characters. Or I have 4 exactly, right? I have to kill all of them. And you would give up on that back in the old days. Or like you would ask, how many do you have for Reaper? Oh, well, if you max me out, you'll get 3 out of 4. And then they wouldn't take it. I think with this new edition, you should really consider taking it a secondary, even if you can't max it, if you know you can get some points.
I would agree with you, but I think how people are going to build lists and how I kind of see a path to the most efficient play, I go back to saying, you take that board control list, like the Nurgling ones I think about, that can play Engage in all fronts really well. That can play Investigate Sites, Psychic Ritual, play Domination.
Yeah.
And basically, it has all those board and movement ones, which I think are also the easier ones to max and score. And so you're going to get 40 points, and you're probably going to get 12, 24, 36, so 76 points.
You can't. I don't think you can take. I don't think you take all of those. The hold ones. You have to take one of the other secondaries, right?
No, they're all separate, right? So Domination and
they're all
together and the same. But you can take those. You can take While We Stand Fight and just put your 3 characters in the back. They mean nothing. And like those are the issues I have, because you can just build an army that just takes the board from a high model count and then score really high in secondaries. And if you're scoring 75 or 80 points a game, you're probably going to win.
Hard to lose. Yeah, hard to lose. Yeah, definitely.
Whoa,
nice job, Robert. Dude,
Robert,
show that again. Let me see those again. Are those cooked?
Come on, Chef.
You got to bake them, right? You didn't bake them yet, did you?
No, it's just sugar, butter, oatmeal, cocoa, and more sugar.
And more.
No, it's 2 times sugar.
So you made like Frosted Flake donuts or something, or just donuts. I don't even need the words Frosted Flakes because that's redundant. I just think I have a craving for Frosted Flakes right now. That's why I said it. So, anyways, they look good. You should feed those to Daniel when you can, so he can gain some weight because he's looking really thin lately. I'm scared for him. I'm legitimately
afraid. I don't know
afraid.
why it's snowing at this place.
It's snowing at his place? Holy
Jesus
Christ.
It's a very white background, so I figured it was snowing.
Nice.
He totally got me because it's Sweden, so I just anticipate like really bad shit.
Idea.
I had no idea, bro. You totally got me.
You guys use the Celsius, so it might be snowing. Fucking Americans.
I love. It is nice when we tell the Euros what the temperature is, and they're like, everyone
what's temperature?
Dying.
98. What? You guys are all dead. No, Fahrenheit. Oh, okay. So that's good. It's the best. Or like we go to Sweden, Brad, and they're like, we're gonna go swimming tomorrow, and I'm like, what's the temperature tomorrow? They're like 27. I'm like, I'm not going swimming in 27 degrees. Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?
Well, I don't know. Last time it was pretty cold, and we were like, "Yep, we're out."
No, I was good. I was good in there. I fell on the way in. I got so injured in Sweden. I don't know if I should go back to that country. I think it hates me secretly after this last trip.
The country itself is out to get you.
There's just ghosts haunting me in that place. So Nick, what's the you kind of led onto it with the missions, but other than the missions, do you think GW has missed an opportunity with 9th release? Was there any other missed opportunities? I mean, if this is not a softball question, I don't know. I don't know what is. I really don't. I mean, I'm trying to be a host, but it's like, damn, bro, I wiffle batted the shit out of this one.
Downtown.
I mean, where do you want to start? The release, the leaks, the app?
Leaks are not a big deal. What's wrong with leaks? I like leaks.
Actually, you know what? I would want to talk about Dominus because I think GW is getting a lot of flack there.
It's a great. I think it's awesome. I think Indominus is amazing. I have 2 boxes. They're fantastic. They were like I think the most efficiently priced things I've ever seen GW release. They're amazing.
A lot of people were giving GW really flack about like not having enough box sets and things like that.
I think it's pretty clear. I think it's pretty clear what happened is that they got such a high demand from their distributors that they realized that they should probably sell it direct. And they just pulled away from their distributors as much as possible to gain that 40% profit immediately off their website. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's capitalism.
That would be the conspiracy theory. Let me tell you Occam's razor where that probably would not happen. I think they probably only had so much money to make them because if you do the math on the units, I think they probably spent like 40 to 50 million making that many production units. They only make a gross profit of 45 million a year. So they probably had to get a bank loan to go make that, and they didn't have enough to cover with COVID going on. So they probably could only do a reduced cycle, or that as much as they could afford to go make. And so
Their gross
they had-
profit, is $45 million a year.
Yeah, they only make 259 million was their last corporate earnings.
Yeah,
right? So like
I can't believe only
the
45 million of that's profit. That's crazy.
Yeah, and everyone thinks they're a $1 billion company. It's
No,
like,
no, I know they're not. I know they're like about a $250,000 company.
right? So they probably had to bank the whole bank on the Adonis piece.
Yeah, but that shouldn't be. That should be easy. Credit lines for a company like that shouldn't be a problem. A couple $1 million for a credit line isn't a big
seriously,
deal.
they should be able to still crank that, and they
Easy.
can show they can literally bank that on the past sales.
Easy. Yeah. And where's all their money going if it's not going in Indominus? I mean, the markup that they're making there is still big. I mean, it's not as big, but it's big.
COVID, and they had to take a PPE loan in the UK. So I think like they only had so much money to go cover between that, and they had no idea, right?
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand how COVID impacted them so much. How did COVID? I need to understand that. Like, I heard from some people that I think Fred told me that the app got impacted by COVID. I don't understand how that's possible because any application development team would have the app in production 6 months prior to the release for anything. So I don't understand. I'm not even going to go into that, but
yeah, you can put that excuse to the side.
Yeah.
I mean,
how did COVID impact Indominus? I would assume that the Indominus boxes were all built, shipped, packed, ready to go before January.
I don't know about that, right? I think they probably had to do them in batches, right, just for the unit sizes.
Probably in batches, but I would assume the first ones were coming out early Jan, and they must have paid for this stuff way before COVID. It's not like they put in an order to print Indominus boxes in March for a delivery in June.
Float from a production standpoint, they would have to float some of it, so they probably have it in lots or whatever else. So yes, but I mean, they get most of that production and then they box it.
Corey,
so
sorry. Corey's comment has to get mentioned right now. It's just too good. I can't go any further. I heard they moved their manufacturing to a tiny country, if chop. I think he meant in chop. So, anyways, go ahead, Brad. Or Nick.
Well, they had to move. They probably had the boxes or the sprues, but then they have to box and package it. So I think the packaging might be an issue because if they don't have the people on site for COVID, they had to go pay for that or not get that crossed and people to process it. I'm sure their supply chain and order chain was disrupted because people couldn't work, right? Because close proximity, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess those are all possibilities for sure. I can't discount any of that. I don't know. Go ahead, Brad.
Besides the production stuff of it, what do you guys, because this is something that was really close to home on me and I really thought it was going to be a different way, and this is what I'm actually disappointed about. What do you guys think about the fact that we're not apparently getting codexes for a couple months? I kind of thought we were going to get at least the 2 that were in the Indominus box, like bam, right away to get people moving, playing, especially Necron players, dude. Even though I'm not, I mean, how do you feel if you're a Necron player? You know there's new stuff coming out for you, but you're not getting new rules that you know are ready to go. Let's slam that down.
That's a failure. Like, I agree with that, and there's no reason for that one. I don't get that one.
I feel really bad about it, Brad, but after knowing that you already have both of those books already, from a playtest perspective, I felt way worse, like immediately knowing that. So yeah, thanks for reminding me about my pain.
It just sucks. I mean, that's what I'm saying, though. The other things, everything else, like, you guys are, like, a little bit more, and not justifiably, you're fine. You know what I mean? That's what you feel on that. The thing that really got me was I was so excited to get the new rules for the new stuff. You get a new edition. You should have those flagship codexes that are coming out right away. You know what I mean? That you're playing with. New rules, new books on the ground. An army that's been kind of in the dumps, playing exactly one type for a long time. Is getting all these new cool models, new cool rules.
He's talking about Necrons, by the way.
Yeah, Necrons. The storyline, the story, the Necron storyline is literally part of the main storyline. Put those guys out, man. Get the Silent King on the board. Let's do, you know what I mean? Just, there's so much excitement that could be here. And the problem is that instead of just riding that excitement wave, we're just, we're trying to overcome, like, just negativity, basically. You know what I mean? They didn't need to. There doesn't need to be.
I mean, this is where I think they screw up the release, right? Because they think people either can't play or they just don't understand the market. But, like, when they released the rules for 9th, or said 9th comes out, they should have released it right the day of so people can get it in hand. Because otherwise, you don't even get me started. There's no excitement.
Our channel gave up on them. We were like Phantom 40K. Go ahead, Brad.
No, you think Corey's?
Yeah, Corey's post was insane.
Literally, no. The digital chat. He sent this. He goes. All I got is a text message of a screenshot, and he just goes, Man, 40K's getting 9th edition's getting kind of weird. He literally searched chapter approved 2020, and it's just porn romance novels, dudes in kilts. It's just what he got as his search. He just sent the screenshot
Chapter
over.
approved
I just
2020.
started laughing my ass off.
Robert is on App Store right now. Right now.
I wrote the book.
I got every chapter approved on that bitch, bro.
He just wants
man.
royalties. That's all he cares about.
Dude, that's pretty funny, man. What is it? GW hates NIDS more than Chapter House. That's pretty funny.
Well,
Oh,
because I
man.
kind of like that they wait with the codexes, because I mean, it would be weird if Space Marines and Necrons have the super new, brand new codexes, and everyone else just plays with garbage for 8 months.
I'm trying to figure out where your camera is so I can
That's
delete
gonna
it.
happen either way, Robert. Like, we're gonna have the haves and have-nots. People who have nice secondary missions that they can pick from the book, and the have-nots.
and command trays that they can use in their command phase.
Yeah, well,
With
That's
things.
the whole thing. Is
I guess
if you have
COVID's
this
to blame.
Advanced, ready to go, released. You can have.
it wasn't
a
ready to
one
go.
after the
It wasn't
other-
ready to go. That's my point. My point is none of that was ready to go. The app was not ready to go.
Well,
Production
why
was
are the
not ready to
books-
go.
We already know we could put the books out. Would everybody be a
It
lot
was-
happier right now if on day
Of course,
one, you
of
got,
course.
bam,
Yes.
two new codexes and then a codex every month.
You know what would be even
And-
cooler, Brad? You know what would be even cooler? If the app had the codex in it right now with all the rules. And I could just have a digital version of it on my iPad. That'd be amazing.
Find the fucking app.
Along with this book and all the other books that
But
I
you
have
know
to
what's
buy
gonna
that are
happen?
actual books.
Yeah, COVID, Alan, and people are gonna be like, well, okay, your Space Marines and Necrons that have their secondaries in the Codex, GTs are probably gonna be like, all right, you guys can't use those, stick to the books because everyone else doesn't have it,
Yeah.
right? Because that's gonna be the balance and fair thing. So
Yeah, no, I
It's
would
gonna
agree. I'd agree.
really weird.
No, I think the truth is that I don't think these guys had a very good strategy in any of this. I don't think they had a good strategy with the release of 9th. I don't think they had a good strategy with the rumors of 9th. Their schedule strategy was bad. I think the production line was bad. The app was a disaster. I really think GW is doing a lot of really good stuff in other places. They're making great content. Their community website's amazing. Their artwork is amazing. Their video for the release was awesome. Their cinematographic video was amazing. They're doing so many good things. I don't know who's in charge of product delivery and I guess product launch, because their product launch
It's
manager,
like marketing, though.
their product launch director, whoever he is, needs to get fired.
Oh,
He needs to be gone.
Aiden just said, why you guys let Nick Rose in this chat? He's just going to repeat what I've been telling him. He's saying that he's basically got his hand up the top of you, just working you like a puppet.
I mean,
Oh, that's good.
Nick Hagan's
That's
not
good.
wrong. Him and
I
I talked
think-
quite a bit.
Who was the guy-
he is a prophet.
Who was the guy at the tournament? Was it Sean Naden or was it Ben? I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody who was like, I'm going to play him. And when I play him, I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to put it up his brain stem and control his brain
Oh,
chords.
Sean did that for.
Was that Sean?
It was Sean who said that. I forget who he was playing.
I think it was Brown. I'm pretty sure it was Brown. It was somebody like that. But yeah, that was my favorite, maybe my first or second favorite line ever. I think putting you in a pocket thing at Nova was pretty funny too. Someone was like just walking around like,
Yes.
I'm gonna put you in my
Decoy.
pocket.
He goes, I heard there's a 15-point secondary in the new Marine book that you get full points if one intercessor is alive at the end of the game.
I like that I hugged Nick Rose on a tournament, and it turned out not to be Nick Rose. I think
Oh,
that's a more
did you-
problem.
Did you guys know about this story, by the way?
Was this at the airport or was this at a
No. In the
Hi.
middle of the tournament, he just decides that some other bald guy is Nick Rose. So he comes up, he sells it way short because he comes up behind him, gives him a big hug, and kisses him. And it's just not you. So he went up to a stranger, basically jumped all over him and kissed him. And the guy, weirdly, was not super happy about this.
Yeah, they run to Brad and say,
Like you
I
were fine.
accidentally assaulted someone.
Physically assaulted someone for the second time this morning.
No, it was Aaron. It was Aaron that he said he was controlling.
Oh, I love that. That was my favorite. I'm gonna take my hand and I'm gonna put it in his brain and just use it.
Did he kiss back?
Just use his brain.
He was looking to throw back.
Everybody,
No, he was
Alex.
confused about
Everybody
this.
has
He was
confused
really
Bill
not
Kim.
understanding what was happening.
Alex, well,
Alex,
evil Bill
there's
Kim.
an evil Bill Kim. His name is Marcus Kim. And
Marcus.
he literally looks just
Evil
like
Bill
Bill Kim.
He looks. He's
Not-
Bill
not
Kim,
trying to be
but he's
racist
got a
right now.
He's got a goatee. So he's evil Bill Kim.
Yeah.
By the way,
But
he used to get super annoyed at us because the more drunk we would get, the more we just called him evil Bill Kim.
yeah, and then I would start calling him a lawyer, and he's an engineer, so it's pretty funny. And then I would call Bill Kim an engineer, and I'd ask Bill Kim like math questions, and he wouldn't know them. And I'd just be like, "Aren't you an engineer?" He's like, "I'm a lawyer. What's wrong with you?" that tournament at the Boys was the best. He actually got an award at that tournament, Alex, and they named him Evil Bill Kim when he came up for the award. The actual staff called him Evil. He was registered as Marcus Kim. They called him Evil Bill Kim. It was fantastic. Loved every moment about it.
You know, I hope tournaments open up though soon, right? Like I know we got the whole COVID
No, they can't,
situation,
man. They
but-
can't. COVID's a serious thing. It's very, very serious.
No, but like I miss the boys. Like the boys. Like,
I do
it's
too,
so-
man. Hey,
I'm so bummed that that's not happening,
Dude,
dude.
you
That's
don't-
one of my favorites.
I went into a series of depression after Adepticon got canceled for about four to 5 days. I was just so sad. I was just staring at all the work I was doing, and I was just
Dude, I mean,
super
the
disappointed.
Thing is, I said that it hurt my cardio because my usual thing is I do my cardio and I make someone do pairings with me for ATC every day.
I mean, you do
Dude.
look very frail. So
Yes, thank you. You told me I look very frail. Not even just anything, just frail.
just frail, like a frail old man. Like I don't know.
And you can't bench anymore.
I think
right?
I
But-
think it's because you got married. I think that's what it is.
Instantly look frail. I gauged even more.
I think that's what it is. I think the marriage has taken its toll on you already. So.
All right. So then, what else about 9th edition? Like, what are you guys liking? about it?
Whoa! You're not driving this conversation. You shut up, boy.
Oh,
Anyways.
sorry. I want to get back to the driver's seat. This is my natural-
Anyways, Nick. Okay, there's a tournament this weekend, Nick. What are you taking? You taking that dumbass list you just talked about?
That's my question.
I know. I just stole it. It was awesome.
Role reversal. Yeah, either that or trying to like still play salamanders because I just have a lot of fun with them.
Yeah. Why don't you talk to us about an actual 40K army that does something on the table other than just exists that you like? You can give a high level example of something if you know anything. I like putting you on the spot.
Can I send you my list real quick?
No,
No.
you're not allowed to.
So the salamander list I'm looking at right now is Captain on a Bike.
Are you physically looking at it right now? Because you're looking to the left right now. I don't know where
Yeah,
you're looking.
at my other monitor.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
He's scrolling looking for those.
Your
romance
face
books.
like disappears in that fake background, so I just can't tell where you are. Go ahead.
Sorry, it's just Boston.
Yeah.
No, it's Captain on a Bike, Lieutenant on a Jump Pack, Primaris Chaplain since I don't have a Chaplain on a Bike yet. Infiltrator Squad, 2 Intercessor Squads, 2 Tactical Squads, Aggressors, 3 Relic Javelin Attack Speeders, 2 Squads of Servitors, 4 Land Speed Tempest, which I know Brad loves, and then 2 Eradicators.
Those servitors, they raise the
I'm glad I
banners.
found those too. I'm glad I found those for you, man.
What, Javelin
Oh, yeah.
land speeders?
No, the Tempest
Yeah, 7
speeders.
Land Speeders.
How many?
7 Land Speeders.
Oh, yeah, land speeders are sick. They're really good.
7.
Those land speeders are nuts. Oh,
What are those, Tempest or Javelin? Which ones?
Tempest?
Oh,
Oh, you have Tempest
Yeah,
and
he's
Javelin.
got
Okay.
both. They're
Yeah.
they're 80 points. They're nuts. You just
How do
pick
those?
up a bucket of dice.
How do those look? Are they? I think I have one behind me, but I don't know
remember
where it is.
your Land Speeder Chimeras
Yeah.
back in the day? It's
Yeah.
those. The ones with the assault cannon and missile launchers on the side.
Oh,
was
yeah, I got those. I got like 10 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I need 4, by the way.
Oh, I have
You
them all.
ship me 4.
Yeah, I got them all. I got all the land speeders, bro. All
All
right.
No, I was telling Brad about them. They're 80 points. They have an assault cannon and 2 Tempest launchers, which are heavy D3, AP3, damage 2, and they're blast.
Yep.
A strength 6.
When are we, Nick? When are we doing a Molicon? That's what I want to figure out because I want to do that.
We should do something in August. We can have people at my house. My AC's fixed. So,
Okay.
uh,
Yeah, let's plan that
Well-
out. I think that'd be a good idea. We can.
I
we
was
can-
actually hoping that it wasn't fixed because you guys always make it so it's 1,000 degrees below zero for me.
Yeah, I love it. I love that you can't hold body heat. It's very strange.
well, it'd be really nice if we get the Swedes come. I think they can come to America, but I don't know if they can go back.
They can't go back.
We're not allowed to go. 'Cause
Yeah.
you guys won't let us in because we might bring COVID. To
No, I
happens
think
if
I
we
think
let 'em-
now
what
I
happens
think
if we
now
let
we're
'em
letting
use
people in.
your-
I think. I don't know. I can't
What
remember.
if we do? What if we make Robert use his fake Southern accent, American Southern accent?
To be fair, it's pretty convincing.
Yeah. I mean, might kiss the wrong dude, but yeah, I'll
Oh.
come.
Whoa.
Kurt,
I
Inceptors are
kissed
so
a dude.
good. Oh.
What? What's Kurt saying? Oh yeah, Inceptors.
Thoughts on Space Wolf Inceptors. It doesn't matter.
So good.
The messed up fact is going to be fixed in like a couple days.
Yeah, it'll be
because
yeah,
that's
they're
just wording.
It's just a misprint.
But Inceptors themselves are an amazing value right now. Just super good.
Yep, I 100% agree. I've seen them on a tabletop. They are ridiculous. So
By far, they just good and boring. What's up, Neil?
Yo, Neil. Hey, Neil, congrats on the launch of the podcast, bro. I saw you launching a podcast for WTC, which is actually called ETC. It was really cool seeing the launch. I haven't listened to the cast yet, but I will. I am one of your views on YouTube, but I didn't listen to the full thing just yet. I'm going to get on and watch it, though.
Do it now.
All right, man. I think that's it for today, guys. We're good. I know Nick's got to go somewhere. I know that Robert's got to eat those balls of his that he made. And me and Brad will be chatting later. So I think we're good for today. Thanks, Nick, for joining the cast. We really appreciate it. I know we went live. I told you we weren't going to go live, but I think you did fine live. I think you were quite entertaining and energetic.
Let's get good Nick next time, though.
Let's get good Nick next time. Is that Nick Brown? Which Nick is that?
Oh, snap.
I'm assuming you mean Nick Brown. Was that a Nick Brown? Was that a Nick Rose versus Nick Brown comment?
Yes.
Ooh, I like it.
Oh shit! They have fucking Space Wolf interceptors are listed at 75 points apiece instead of 50. Oh, Kurt, look at you.
Yeah, but they're OBSEC, so they're better.
Yes, that's true. They're OPSEC. Exactly.
Yeah, that's the OPSEC points, Kurt. Come on, get with the program, bro. I didn't know who it wasn't.
What?
All right, see ya, everybody.